Don't know why that happened. But welcome to the Utah Hello podcast. I am RJ. I'm with Mike and Andy as usual. Today we are coming at you with 1990s greatest movies.
Well, just 1990s.
How you guys feeling today?
Just one year.
1990s
movies of
greatest movies.
Yeah, how do you say that?
1990
1990.
Yes.
apostrophe S possessive.
Okay. Possessive, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was 1990 movies.
I'm
made
really
in
just
1990.
I'm disoriented by the beginning. Like we need to redo that. Like I was watching that. Was that a DeLorean? That was just driving
No, it was
by.
not.
Like,
It was not.
That was
okay.
that was a Ford Escort.
I was waiting for the drug transaction to occur. Like they're driving really slow in the neighborhood. Like they were sketch. Big time.
I decided to be a little different with this this intro, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I liked it.
Like it.
It was mesmerizing.
Yeah.
Watching a car drive that slowly is pretty interesting, actually.
I just I thought of the 90s and I thought of downtown Detroit. I don't know why. That just seemed to be. No,
That's
I
what
searched
think.
90s countdown and that's what came up. So.
Oh wow. Into the secrets.
Just a little behind the scenes, yeah. For people who are wondering how the magic happens at home, got a little bit of iMovie, a little bit of GarageBand, a little bit of Canva, and a little bit of magic from me. That's how we do it.
Sprinkle the magic.
Sprinkle the magic.
Hey guys, you'll be happy to hear today. Met a person at the store today, the
for you.
cashier lady, and she asked, "Hey, what's you dad me at hello?" Because I was wearing my mask. And I said, "Oh, it's my podcast."
Oh, wow.
So I actually said it was mine. And then she said, "Well, that's probably a stupid podcast." So I'm not saying it.
Was it like at Starbucks and she was like, name? You're like RJ and she wrote loser on it.
Loser
That's what I was-
podcast guy.
I was listening to Alanis Morissette on the way to get my Starbucks.
You dad me, I get the hell
Throwback.
out.
That was a good throwback.
I missed it because I was talking.
It's usually what happens.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm excited. We were supposed to have a barbecue brought to you by Udamia Hello this weekend, but it's already been moved once. I think it's going to be moved again because it's raining for the next 3 weeks. in Rhode
Pretty
Island.
much.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's looking pretty bad. Even next Saturday, it looks like it's going to rain right now. That's a week away. It could change, but it's raining. Just every day, I want to do something.
Just throw it on like a Wednesday for no reason at all.
And then by the time it gets pushed back, it'll be Saturday.
Well, I could potentially do it on Monday, but some of my kids aren't going to be here, and I was like, I want to have everybody around, so we'll find a day where it doesn't rain this summer, probably. But
Yeah,
bound to
one of the 2 days. Yeah.
how's everybody doing at home? If you're listening live, feel free to comment. What are you
Yeah.
doing this summer? Anything good going on?
Comment on if anybody's ever flown to Delaware. We're just the topic of discussion.
Why would you
previously.
fly to Delaware? Can't you just fly to like DC and just
We're
go from there?
we're just trying to find somewhere close. That's a short flight to see if my daughter
Southwest
is
to
going to.
DC, 50 minutes.
50 minutes.
Yeah.
All right.
Plus, you get to go to DC, see the White House, see the little
Monument.
long thing.
What was that?
I don't know.
See the what?
I immediately regret it.
Hey,
I'll see that, I don't know. I
that.
did not have sexual relations.
Phil Collins
Yeah, hey,
saw a
we're
lot
here.
of things on Capitol Hill, and he wrote a song about it.
Stupid.
Throwback.
1990 movies. Guys, I was 6 years old in 1990, but I did go back and watch 90 movies. 90
Yeah.
movies. I actually watched a movie today from the 90s, Career Opportunities. If you haven't seen that, it's a great movie, which Target is in 90% of it, so they must have paid for it. But it's very good.
What year did that come out?
91. It's in my 91 list that you did not put it on. It's about a guy who gets locked in a Target overnight as the janitor, and he meets a girl who's hiding in the Target, and they fall in love, and then robbers come and rob Target. It's a great movie. Has anyone at home heard of this? Career Opportunities? It's great.
It sounds like they just had a bunch of people in a room, just had a bunch of ideas, and they wrote it down and then put it in a hat, and they were just like, "Okay, a woman." Okay.
I mean, first off,
Target.
it has Frank Whaley's in it, Jennifer Connelly's in it, Dermot Mulroney's in it, Barry Corbin. You got to check it out. It's an American romantic comedy, but it's really good. Look it up.
That's where
Anybody
I
else
met
at
my
home?
wife when she was just bumming it out in the middle of Target.
That was Walmart.
That's where all you guys were.
In Washington, D.C.
Yes.
But yeah, so today we're not talking about 1991 or the 90s. We're talking about the 1990 movies.
The one.
We could only come up with 8 movies that all three of us just about had seen.
Well, hold on. Edit that. 7 movies. At least 2 of us said yes, and then 1 we were kind of like, all right, let's get that on there.
Now let's be fair. We're only working with 365 days here. This isn't a whole decade where we had 80 movies to narrow down to 16.
Yeah.
There was already a very small pool of films to choose from. And we only chose 7.
Yeah. and the fact that we all enjoy different kinds of movies that don't overlap whatsoever.
Yeah.
So,
and neither do any of these.
No.
Most of the time when we're talking about movies, it just turns into a 4-day text conversation of, I can't believe you haven't seen it. Essentially.
It's true.
But we do decide on these 8.
Yeah, but the good thing is, like, when we do this, like, I know I end up going and watching.
That's Eliza, not just.
Like one of these movies on here I had not seen. So a couple days ago, I said, I'm going to put this on. I'm going to watch it so I can be well informed for this podcast and not seem like a moron like I usually do.
We'll find a different way to make morons out of ourselves, so don't worry.
Yeah,
that won't be left out of the episode.
We'll just talk about Washington monuments.
Yeah. But hey, we have everything from Night of the Living Dead all the way down to Home Alone. As you can tell, Eliza is watching this currently.
That's a fact.
Teaching about architecture.
But hey, even Eliza has seen a movie on this, Home Alone. And I'm gonna make her watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at some point. Probably Kindergarten Cop. A good amount of movies on this list, and especially Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
We started to watch the black and white version, Night of the Living Dead, and she was disgusted by the lack of color and left. But maybe I'll show her the in color version in the future. But I'm excited. Let's do this. Let's get into this.
Do it.
For people who are at home, if you don't see your movie on the list, feel free to comment. Maybe it's a movie we forgot about. More likely, it's just a movie that we haven't seen because we're not as old as we appear to be. And we were watching Rainbow Bright in 1990 and not Night of the Living Dead.
I don't remember what I was watching in 1990. Probably just the Ninja Turtles.
Definitely. Yeah. Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I was an old man. I watched like Mary Tyler Moore and Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah.
Get Smart. Yeah.
You are going to make it after all.
I love that. It's the greatest theme song ever. All right, moving on. Starting.
And moving on right to the end of the episode. All right, everyone have a good night.
Let's start off with, and we only have 8 today, so this either will be a short episode or we'll talk a whole lot about movies you don't care about. So here it is. Night of the Living Dead, the 1990 version, versus Misery, the movie that came out in 1990.
I already know I'm going to lose this battle, but I'm going with Misery.
Misery, okay. All right. I mean, it is kind of a battle of the horror thriller category, so this did work out well. But anyways, what do you got, Mike?
the
other guy.
The other guy here. This really is a tough choice.
Mike, is that how you pronounce it?
Mika. I think Misery for me as well, and only because whoa,
what?
Yeah, only because and we talked before.
I don't think it was on your list. was on your list?
What? Yeah, both of these. No, I'm sorry. No, you're right. But I forgot Misery came out in 1990. But
You're voting for the movie you didn't even remember.
I forgot it even came out that year until someone brought it up.
Point taken.
Yeah,
You didn't
but
forget
it's-
about Night of the Living Dead.
No, but it's still a better movie because it's not a shot-for-shot remake of something else that was better. And we talked about this beforehand,
Dang.
and I didn't give up the ghost. I kept my comments to myself so we could, get heated on the show here. So,
The ghost is out.
what are you gonna say?
I hope that you have your kneecaps cracked open at some point during this podcast. For people who haven't seen Misery, I did not just commit a crime. That happens in Misery. I like Misery. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a good movie. James Caan is awesome. Kathy Bates is awesome. But my vote would have been Night of the Living Dead for sure.
We'll talk about Misery later.
Well, that's. I mean, I know you were going to go with that movie because you are a zombophile.
What?
Andy bringing out the dictionary words
So
today.
that is what zombie fans are apparently called. So
I'm not calling myself that.
You should. You should just wear a shirt.
Um,
So what is your like? Because you like zombie movies, you like Walking Dead, you like anything that has to do with zombies. Like, what is what makes zombies sexy to you?
Well, all right.
Where are you going
Let's
with
kind
this,
of-
Andy?
It's kind of a two-parter here. First off, I don't know why zombies have done it for me, but like what really does it is like post-apocalyptic movies. I like kind of almost every version of a post-apocalyptic movie. I like the end of the world stuff. I like kind of survival movies almost as much as I like revenge killing movies. But it's really good. Zombies, I don't know. I saw Night of the Living Dead when I was younger. Dawn of the Dead. No one watches the third one. And then there's, I got into later on. You had 28 Days Later, which is probably one of my favorite.
Phenomenal
ones.
movie. Yeah.
You have some new ones that I really like Wreck, Train to Busan, and things like that. But Night of the Living Dead is just one of the first horror movies I can remember owning on DVD. Not VHS, surprisingly, DVD. I think it was like when it first came out. But I just remember having a bunch of people over my house when I was a kid, Andy, you included. I got a sectional couch that I had found in somebody's trash, and I dragged it all the way to my house and brought
Smelled
it
like
downstairs
zombies.
into my basement room. And I had that in my room for like 10 years. It was somebody else's sectional couch from there when trash picking was cool. But yeah, it's a great. I love it. Night of the Living Dead. This is the 90 version for people who don't know what we're talking about. There was a 68 version by George Romero. It's in black and white. It's the whole "they're coming to get you, Barbara." The 1990 version is in color, but it's pretty much a shot-for-shot remake of that, and it was co-done, I think, with Romero.
Mhm.
Tom Savini, like you said, I think Mike was handpicked
Yes.
to kind of direct this. It does have it's a cult classic movie. It's got a 66% Rotten Tomatoes, 6.2 out of 10 on Metacritic, 4 out of 5 stars from Bloody Disgusting. Bloody Disgusting is an awesome site too, by the way, for reviews and such. But Ving Rhames, one of my all-time favorites, was considered for the lead role of this. 14 years later, he was cast in Dawn of the Dead as the lead there. But all of that being said, sexy zombies.
Yeah, I know. I've never seen. I don't think I've ever seen this version. I know we were talking about before. I've seen the original, and then I saw one of the other. Was it Dawn of the Dead? Whatever. So I don't know if I would want to watch this one because I like the original a lot. Who was it? Tony Todd was in this, right? Who was also in.
Yep.
Wasn't he Candyman?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Bill Moseley's in this too. And he's
Ted
a great...
Mosby from
No,
How I Met
Mosley.
Your Mother?
Mosley.
Oh, okay.
Mosley. He's really good
Wait,
as
can
well.
we talk about How I Met Your Mother for a second? I got into that show late, just like this year. I can't keep going. I want to, but it just I'm like 8 episodes in, and every time like I have to fight to watch the next episode. But
Yeah,
supposedly it's good.
it was good, but I get your gripes.
I feel like for a show that's only what 10, 15 years old, it crosses so many lines. Like that couldn't be a show on TV today somehow, even though it was just made 10 or 15 years ago. They already broke all the rules of being good people. Like no one's likable on that show. I don't know. That's just me.
That's true.
Yeah. I'm going to keep going with it though, because I watch crappy shows. I will finish it at some point.
You know it won't be canceled, so you might as well just keep going.
That's true. Have you ever like gone through like half a show and then you find out it got canceled and I'm just like, I just give up at this point. Like there's no ending to it. They just did that with my Manifest.
Depends.
But
Depends.
Anyway. The underwear?
No, not it's depends. I said it depends.
1990s? Well, Misery's moving on, not Night of the Living Dead. Andy, I assume you have nothing to say about Night of the Living Dead moving on, other than that you have not seen it.
I think no.
It's still worth watching. If you enjoyed the original, it's still worth watching the remake. Just for the different actors and slightly different takes on some of the characters, and the special effects are better, obviously, being 22 years newer. So
you can't really get mad about the shot-for-shot remake thing, because isn't that how pretty much every American horror movie is made?
Yeah.
They just take a good Japanese movie and they shot-for-shot remake it. And for some reason, people love the American versions, even though they're never better.
Yeah. The Grudge.
Like The Ring.
The Ring. Nope. Don't like them.
Even Rec. Rec was originally a French movie, and now it's Quarantine. Wasn't the American version.
No, it was REC.
Okay.
Yeah, it's recording REC because it's a camera. It's a handheld camera zombie movie. It combines both of my loves of nauseous filmmaking and zombies.
It's called High 8.
It's Blair Witch Zombies.
Old camera.
All right, that was a really long first round. Let's move on. We have. I apologize. This is not going to be a shorter episode, but here we are. Anyways, Edward Scissorhands versus Total Recall.
This is a really.
I'm going to go
with
for me. Total Recall. It's not that tough for me. Edward Scissorhands freaks me out, not in a good way.
Oh, I was going to say it's kind of supposed to make you a little uneasy.
Yeah, but no, I'm going with Total Recall.
What do you say, Andy?
I don't know. I was hoping you had an answer.
Ah, crap, because this is a toss-up for me too. I'll just make it easy for you, and I'm going to go Total Recall.
Okay.
But both of these movies are in some of my favorites of all time, so this is a hard choice for me.
Andy, this is fresh on your mind. You just saw Total Recall.
Yeah, I did, and because of that, I was going to go with Edward Scissorhands. So I will leave my comments on Total Recall after.
All right. I don't remember a lot about Edward Scissorhands. No, I mean,
I just remember
Johnny Depp just playing himself in every movie that he's ever in. I feel like he just plays like somebody tells him, "Hey, we want you to be this guy," and he's like, "So this guy, but really weird."
This guy, but me.
Well,
Pirates of the Caribbean, Willy Wonka.
He's got scissors for hands. Were you expecting I'm not sure what you're expecting there.
He does have. Well, they're not
a realistic movie.
Yeah, they're not really scissors for hands. He just cuts things with the blades on his hands.
I mean, it's got a bunch of good people. Anthony Michael Hall is in it. Diane West is in it. Vincent Price as well.
The inventor.
The what?
He was the inventor.
Oh, okay.
The part was written for him specifically. It was the last film he ever starred in.
For people who are like, I know what Edward Scissorhands is, but I can't remember. He plays an artificial humanoid named Edward, who is an unfinished creation who has scissor blades instead of hands. And the young man is taken by a suburban family and falls in love with their teenage daughter, played by Winona Ryder. And that is pretty much it.
I mean, it writes itself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So
it's a Tim Burton movie, which tells you so much.
Yeah,
pretty much.
And so Tim Burton actually came up with this as I guess he did a drawing as a teenager. He depicted a thin, solemn man with long, sharp blades for fingers.
Whose appearance is based on Robert Smith.
So, all right, I had to do a little bit of research here because I think my problem is Tim Burton. I don't think I like much of what Tim Burton does. The original Batman he had a part of, I liked that. I'm not a fan of Beetlejuice, not a fan of Edward Scissorhands, not a fan of Big Fish, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory remake, Corpse Bride, Sweeney Todd, Dark Shadows. Peculiar Children,
sounds like you just don't
the
like
new
Tim
Dumbo.
Yeah.
I don't think I like his way of storytelling.
Nightmare Before Christmas?
I didn't like that
No,
either.
no.
Like that.
Oh man, I'm leaving.
So Tim Burton said this isn't his greatest film, but it is his favorite film.
It's his favorite.
So that tells you something.
Fix my chair in there.
All right, you do that. And the score is Danny Elfman's favorite of all of his soundtrack compositions. So you got a little bit of something. Everybody people like it.
It's funny because Danny Elfman wasn't even Tim Burton's first choice. He had asked Robert Smith of The Cure to actually do the score for this movie, but he was in the middle of writing a record. So then he went to Danny Elfman and asked him to write the score. So that's how we ended up with that combination again.
I thought you were going to say Robert Palmer.
No.
And I was addicted to Scissorhands.
Danny Elfman has done a ton of movies for soundtrack, and so I'll give him that. He does great. He's in a ton of stuff. Nacho Libre, Charlotte's Web, Meet the Robinsons.
He's super talented. I mean, if you've ever listened to Oingo Boingo.
So I'll give him that. But just wasn't my thing. But Edward Scissorhands is not moving on. Total Recall is. Any last words on Edward Scissorhands before we move on?
There's a scene where when he first comes into the house and he's laying in Winona Ryder's bed, and she comes home and she doesn't know he's there, and she like freaks out when she sees him, and he starts freaking out and he starts cutting holes. And it's in a water bed, so then it starts going everywhere. And I was just curious, like, what kind, like, for people now who are going to go watch it, like kids, if they go to watch this, they're like, don't understand what the hell a waterbed is. Like, you remember how like popular those were? Like, I remember going to like my mom's friend's house, or like even I remember my mom had a waterbed, and I was like, the most uncomfortable freaking thing ever. Like, who wants to?
So hard to get out of too. You have to like roll your way out of the bed.
You look like a wavy inflatable man trying to get out. You're like.
It was funny. I had a friend whose mom had one as well. I feel like that was like a mom thing to have in the 90s, but my friend's mom had it, and I would go over there all the time and just want to go sit on the bed, like, because it was just, you just be sitting there and you'd be like, all right, let's play video games.
Yeah. Right. You're ready to throw up like 10 minutes.
Most landlords had to say you couldn't have them if it was the second floor because they were worried about it popping into the first floor. Yeah. It didn't make any sense, but.
Well, have you ever seen one pop?
No, I meant it doesn't make sense to have a waterbed is what I meant.
Oh,
but
okay. That makes more sense.
But no, I have also never seen one pop, but I am going to YouTube it later now that you've said that.
All right.
I'm sure it's out there.
You want to see,
I'm sure that's going to be an interesting Google search.
Can I Google popping a waterbed?
Safer than other things.
It's almost that time.
One more minute till the end.
All right.
Sounds
moving
cool,
on. It is. I have another one, but it doesn't go with like my ongoing joke.
The song came out in 1990.
How about the song that we're releasing tomorrow?
But there's no. Oh, this one.
But I'm deaf and blind with no words to describe how this feels. And I'm moving forward with you, but the past is on my heels.
Also not releasing June 28th.
Yeah. If you're watching the future, it doesn't really matter. But if you're watching it now, then you're kind of confused.
Don't go looking for it yet, kids. It comes out tonight at midnight on Spotify. If you follow us on Spotify, by the way, you can get our releases straight to your new release radar. So feel free to follow us on Spotify or on YouTube as well, where we have the lyric videos for those as well. But Anyways, moving on. Next up is Die Hard 2 versus Kindergarten Cop with a lowercase c.
I'm going with Kindergarten Cop on this one.
Me too.
I just realized we have two
yeah,
Arnold movies here.
Yeah, you did.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Total Recall and Kindergarten Cop. I just realized
yeah,
that.
you're right. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I put the 2 and 2 together. Yeah, Kindergarten Cop for me as well over Die Hard 2. I feel a little weird doing that, but Kindergarten Cop.
Well, we talked earlier how we kind of forgot what happened in Die Hard 2 because it's like Die Hard 1. So it's like, is Die Hard 2 really that good?
Here's my dilemma is I had it on my list thinking that I've seen the movie.
Mhm.
I always confuse Die Hard with Lethal Weapon. I have not seen this movie. So I watched the preview last night and I was like,
Wait a
"What the
minute.
hell is this?" I was like, Bruce Willis. I'm like,
This is no Hot Shots Part 2. Die Hard for me, I didn't get into until Live Free or Die Hard in 2007. And then there was A Good Day to Die Hard in 2013. It wasn't until legit this year that I watched Die Hard, the original, and I have not seen Die Hard 2.
Die Hard
so
2.
Somehow this made our list.
Harder.
Die Harder. Yes.
Like if you're gonna die, like you gotta
Just
go
do
harder.
it. Yeah, do
Just-
it harder.
Like you can do it hard, but you gotta go harder
When you die.
when you die.
When you die.
Bonnie Bedelia's in Die Hard 2, which she is on Parenthood later as Camille Braverman. So that's pretty cool for me.
You know,
That's it.
so what I found interesting about this, like we have fans probably all over the world, right? Well, let's be real here.
Yeah, we totally do. Hello to
So-
our fans in Venezuela.
Yeah. Like our fans in Russia, like they're gonna be trying to find this movie, right? And they're not gonna find it as Die Hard 2. Like
It's not called Die Hard.
It's not called Die Hard 2. It's
No.
called A Hard Nut
Hard
to Crack.
Nut to Crack.
All right.
Oh, what?
Now, A Hard Nut to Crack. Clearly,
I didn't
no,
know.
right? Now, I looked up some other interesting movies that have different names in other countries. So let's say you want to watch Free Willy in China. What do you think you would look for?
Not allowed to.
Free the Willy.
Oh, close. It's a very powerful whale runs to heaven.
Wow.
That is the translation for Free Willy. And what about Ghostbusters? It's a
I don't know.
superpower dare die team, of course. Come on, guys.
A what now?
A superpower dare die team.
All right.
It's got us
So,
written all over
Good
it.
movies.
Look them up and tell us how it is.
So, Die Hard 2 was so big that
How big
Bruce-
was it?
This big.
Match game?
Die Hard 2 was record breaking in the fact that Bruce Willis was able to ask for $7.5 million to star in this movie, which at the time was the biggest payout for an actor. And it was over 10% of the movie's budget, which is absolutely ridiculous. But as time went on, then he was getting 15 million, 20 million, so on and so forth as the movies went on. So I thought that was a pretty interesting fact to see, you know, what actors are making now, like $7.5 million is what they get to go on like Jay Leno or something, you know, and he was able to ask for that for a whole movie.
That's crazy.
It's nuts.
Yeah, it's got an approval rating of 69% on Rotten Tomatoes, but it lacks the fresh thrills of its predecessor, but still works as an over-the-top big budget sequel with plenty of set pieces to paper over its plot deficiencies. That's what they say.
My favorite thing about this movie is the cable edits. So if anyone has ever caught this on TV, there's actually compilations. You can go on YouTube, but you know, they can't say certain words on cable TV or couldn't say certain words on cable TV.
Mhm.
So for anyone that hasn't seen Die Hard, John McClane's tagline is "Yippee-ki-yay, mother
Ducker.
bleeper, mother ducker." So most of the cable edits have him saying "Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon."
I am totally saying that in the podcast in the future.
Next time I stub my toe, Mr. Falcon.
So good. So good.
All right. Well, we have Kindergarten Cop moving on to the semifinals. Die Hard 2 is away in a blaze of glory. However, Maxim did rank the film's plane crash number 2 on its list of greatest movie plane crashes. In case you thought Maxim knew what it was talking about.
I'm sure Bruce Willis has that plaque on his wall.
Yep.
All right, moving on.
Sure.
We have Battle of the Children's movies that are somehow inappropriate to show your children today. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus Home Alone. This one's actually a really tough one for me. This might be the hardest one of the bracket for me.
Yeah. I agree.
All right. Well, mine's not that difficult for me. It's Home Alone.
Okay. All right.
And this is coming from somebody who collected all the Ninja Turtle figures and watched it as a child a lot.
RJ's doing research right now. I don't know what RJ
is. He's like, dude,
typing.
The turtles could they really be ninjas?
I mean, they can be 4'8" bipedal humanoid turtles, so I guess they can be anything they want.
I mean, turtles actually do fight each other. So they're solitary animals typically. So you don't generally see turtles with each other, but if you put them in like an enclosed, like they're gonna fight. So there's a fact for you. Andy's turtle facts.
All right. Let's go to the listeners here. We've got a Home Alone. We've got Turtles. We've got Home Alone. I'm gonna go with. I don't know. Andy, what did you just choose? Home Alone. Mike, did you choose?
I did not choose because this is also a tough one for me.
Remind you, RJ, that Home Alone was on our Christmas movies. I believe it made it to the finals, if I'm not mistaken, or at least pretty far.
We also,
I'm going to go with Home Alone.
Yeah, I was going to say we also kicked Ninja Turtles off the list in place of Turtles 2. So do we really like Turtles 1?
Well, so Turtles 1 is great. However, Andy, you won't get this reference, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles slows down on the farm for a little while in the middle of the movie, just like Herschel's farm in The Walking Dead, which they stay at for an entire season and is labeled as one of the worst seasons of The Walking Dead.
And believe it or not, that scene was edited to be shorter than they originally shot.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Home Alone. I have some cool things to say about that later, but let's talk a little bit about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is a great movie, by the way, still.
Yeah, I have lots of notes on Ninja Turtles. If anyone knows, I'm a huge Turtles fan. So
you picked it today.
Yeah, I know. I didn't pick anything. You guys kicked it out. But so they had originally started talking about making a Turtles movie before the cartoon even came out. So they knew they wanted to do something with it, which is why it's a little bit darker than the second movie. And I think I've said in the past, the second movie is more based on the cartoon. The first movie is more based on the comic books. But originally they wanted to do this Who Framed Roger Rabbit style, where they were going to have sort of animated, cartoon style turtles interacting. Oh God, interacting with live action characters.
Just by your own wife.
Yeah, I know. Whatever. It's fine. So they wanted to do animated characters with live action, and then there was another idea. Where there was a crazy idea that they wanted to get the top comedians of the day together And the original cast was going to be Gallagher, Sam Kinison, Bobcat Goldthwait, and Billy Crystal. They were just going to wear shells on their backs and be painted green. And that was going to be the movie.
You know what? I think I'd rather see that like now more than the original. I think majority of the movie would just be screaming.
Yeah, it would just be screaming.
And then Billy Crystal coming in with like a one line like, I was in City Slickers.
So, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I had forgotten how many cool people are actually in this movie. It was the highest grossing independent film at that time, only surpassed by the Blair Witch Project in 1999.
Yep.
And also the 9th highest grossing film worldwide of 1990. But Casey Jones, the ice hockey player, who becomes an ally of the Turtles, is played by none other than Elias Koteas, who is from Chicago.
One of the Chicago shows.
PD. Chicago PD.
He's from Chicago.
Sam Rockwell.
Chicago.
Sam Rockwell is in it. Skeet Ulrich is in it. Scott Wolf is in it. Corey Feldman voices Donatello. And Ernie Reyes Jr. Actually plays Donatello as the stunt double, but is also the head of Surf Ninjas, which is another great kids movie.
He was also in the second movie.
Yeah, and he was on Chicago Department of Transportation. Did you say Corey Feldman?
Yeah, I mean, Corey Feldman voiced Donatello.
Yeah, and he was only offered $1,500 to do the voice work because he thought it was only going to be a small, low budget movie. And
I did see that. Yeah, it was not. Yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 40% on Rotten Tomatoes, 5 out of 10. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is exactly as it's advertised. One-liners, brawls, general silliness, good for the young at heart, irritating for everyone else. Is what the website says.
That's false.
Yeah,
that's
I
fake
liked
news.
It. I liked it.
Bob Hoskins versus Shredder.
Hey, Bob Hoskins was great as Mario. Okay.
Oh man, I forgot about
Super
that.
Mario Brothers. That's coming up. I think that's 92, possibly 94. I don't know.
But was that
Super
a good
Mario
movie?
Brothers remake? It's it's a British guy and I think a Colombian guy playing two Italian.
Was it John Leguizamo?
Yeah,
It is. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was the best movie they can make with the amount of alcohol that they drank and the number of script rewrites they had to do every single day.
Super Mario Brothers. It's a cult classic for me. I love that movie. It will be on my list in whatever year it came out.
All right.
Yeah, it's all
But
right.
anyways, not Kindergarten Cop. I'm one behind. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is not moving forward. Anything left to say about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? We are done with the top 8. We're moving into the top 4.
Poor Ninja Turtles.
Let's do it.
Let's keep
All right, here
rolling.
we are. We've got Misery versus Edward Scissorhands and Kindergarten Cop versus Home Alone.
You kicked Edward
we are
Scissorhands
literally
out.
battling scary movies versus scary kids movies.
RJ, shut up.
What?
We kicked Edward Scissorhands out.
Did we?
We did.
I'm like trying to stop you, and you just get going. Shut up.
We did. We
Redo.
did.
Yeah, Misery versus Total Recall
There we
versus Kindergarten Cop and Home Alone. It is still 2 adult movies versus 2 children's movies.
We'll just fix that in post. We have an editor,
We'll
right?
keep it because of how likable we are. All right. Well, first off, let's get into Misery versus Total Recall.
Oh man.
Total Recall for me.
Total Recall for me.
Shoot. Okay.
And we've ruined Lori's night.
Jeez.
All right.
I like Misery. I don't know. I just think Misery. I run a misery business. I don't know. Total Recall's fun. It's a fun movie. Misery is not really a fun movie to watch, actually.
Oh, there's nothing fun about it.
No. It's
Unless you're Kathy Bates.
She did not enjoy making this movie. Actually,
Really?
apparently, she got so deep into character that she couldn't break character. At the end of the day, Rob Reiner, the director, meathead, had to actually.
Wait. Can you do that again?
Yeah, meathead. Rob Reiner. He directed it. He had to set her aside and like tell her to go home and relax and calm down and break character because she was getting so invested in the insanity of her character.
She started breaking everybody's ankles.
Kate,
close to it.
I just want to put this in perspective for you. Rob Reiner is Jess from The New Girl's dad. So that's who that is.
He's Meathead from All in the Family. I don't care about New Girl.
That too,
Everyone
yes.
knows that.
When he had lots of hair.
He did have lots of hair.
That mustache.
I'm trying to remember if no, I'm mixing him up with somebody else. Moving on.
Yeah. James Caan is
James
in the
Caan.
movie.
Oh,
show
he
was-
did This Is Spinal Tap.
Yes. He's
What,
done lots of movies.
What was the show? Las Vegas? The hell was that called?
I don't
You
know
guys
where
ever
we're
heard?
going.
It was one of those shows. He was like,
I don't know, he did The
a
Princess
casino.
Bride.
Mhm.
Stand By Me.
You're talking about James
He did
Caan or Rob
North.
Reiner? You're talking about Rob Reiner?
Rob Reiner.
Rob
Okay.
Reiner. Yeah. My
I
bad.
was like, I don't remember James Caan in Stand By Me. I was like, was he the dead body they were
It
going?
was just the
Like,
body, yeah.
So if you've never seen Misery, I'm gonna spoil something. So we keep talking about it's a famous scene, the ankle being broken
Kneecap.
with a
Yeah.
sledgehammer. Those ankles, because she puts like a piece, like a board
Between his ankles.
In between his ankles,
Yeah,
he's
but
tied
then
up
my
in
joke from
bed.
before doesn't compute.
No,
That's why I didn't get it.
Yeah, that's why no one laughed. And so I could see like how she gets into character.
Bye, RJ.
So she breaks them, right? And then he's screaming, obviously. She looks at him, she says, God, I love you. Creepy as all hell. Like, that's why I don't know. I thought it was really well acted. It definitely like a slow, intense kind of movie. Like,
Yeah.
even that scene, you're like, oh man,
It's agonizing.
Are they really gonna do it? Are they really? And they show it on the first ankle, and just it's the image that stays with you. It's not something that you're gonna forget. It's almost like when Sid Vicious jumps off.
No.
See, the image is already in your head as his leg is just dangling out of his boot. He's just holding his leg, like his leg's this way, but his foot is this way. Yeah. So this was what? This was a Stephen King book
Need a paper
originally.
bag.
Did I don't know, do you guys read? You guys ever read
Sometimes.
this?
Yes. I only read the Bible.
Have either of you read this?
I read this on
no.
shampoo bottles and
While you're pooping?
yeah.
That's why they call it the shampoo bottle.
I didn't read until like Jurassic Park. It's like the first book I remember reading as a child. The Lost World as well.
Yeah, I
Well,
know the movie was pretty faithful to the book, right?
That's why I was asking, because I generally I don't know. I know Stephen King was kind of reluctant to sell the film rights because he was kind of skeptical, like were they going to follow his vision or not. But because Rob Reiner was either going to be the producer or the director of it, is how he agreed, because he was so impressed with Stand By Me.
Yeah, I think the only thing they changed, and it was because of the studios making them change it, is in the book she actually chops his left foot off with an axe. She doesn't break his ankles. She chops his foot off.
Which you think is worse?
I think having my ankles broken probably worse. I would imagine the pain from not having a foot goes away after a while. I think just having broken ankles. Every time it rains, your ankles are going to hurt. You know?
What?
No? Have you guys ever broken a bone before?
No.
No.
Oh, okay. I have.
I just
When it
want to talk
rains, it
really
hurts.
quickly about Kathy Bates. So Kathy Bates in this movie is scary. She's psychotic essentially, but her acting skills across the board is just ridiculous. If you look back at some of the movies that she's been in, I mean, she went everything from playing an Alaskan mom in North with Elijah Wood to Molly Brown in Titanic. She was the water boy, Mama Boucher.
Boucher.
Bobby Bush.
Boucher.
Bobby Boucher.
She was in
got me Hello
what's
is
the
the
other
Devil.
movie? She was in The Blind Side. She was in some TV shows that I watch, mainly American Horror Story. If you haven't seen American Horror Story, it's an amazing anthology series. But she appears in not one, but 2, 3, 4, 5 of the seasons. And in the last season that I saw her in was Roanoke, where she literally plays like an old racist woman, from the 1800s,
Sounds great.
who is like a ghost killer. It's ridiculous. But she does a great job. I mean, she's super good. So I enjoyed her a lot. She was also in Harry's Law, which was a very underrated TV show, a legal comedy drama show, which was awesome.
Yeah, she was virtually unknown when they hired her for the part. Like the part was almost written for her, or she was like their first pick or top pick or something along those lines. So it was pretty amazing that she did win an award. I think Tim mentioned that earlier. That it's the only Stephen King novel to win any awards that was adapted to a movie. So
Really?
And
Yeah.
more importantly, is Family Guy did an episode about it.
Yeah.
I don't remember that episode.
They did like an episode where they did adaptations of different movies, and that was one of them.
I remember the Simpsons adaptation of The Shining, but I don't remember Family Guy.
Oh, we'll see. Now everybody's got to go look it up. Go watch
Yep.
it.
Oh, this movie was also adapted into a Broadway play in which Bruce Willis and Laurie Metcalf played Paul Sheldon and Annie Wilkes. FYI.
All
They
right.
actually break
Well,
it.
hey, Misery is staying behind, while Total Recall has made its entrance into the finals.
Make sure you put the right one in.
Yes. Who will Total Recall
What other one is there?
be against? It is Kindergarten Cop versus Home Alone.
Oh
Mm.
man.
Oh, boy.
Man. Oh boy.
I'm going with Home Alone. Here's my reasoning.
Mhm.
I saw Home Alone with my kids, and even that was probably a mistake. My kids are under 10. I had forgotten how intense the slapstick comedy is,
Mhm.
especially with the foot through the nail. My son did not enjoy seeing that.
The
The
iron on the face.
Won't climb the,
the
stairs
iron on the
anymore.
face. Yeah, but remembering Kindergarten Cop, I actually looked it up before seeing it, and I had forgotten all the violence that's in that movie. There's like point blank killing of a person in the beginning from the film's villain. There's pistols and shotguns and stalking people. A man punches a woman in the face. They bash a head through a car window. A man sets fire to a school library with children near. Like that's just the violence. Then there's all this kind of the
Boys
talk
have
of
and
like,
girls have.
well, that stuff too. I mean,
Was
there's
it also
profanity
petting
all over
for
the
you?
place. The S word, the A word, the B word, all that deal. And I can understand a couple of swears here and there, but it was a lot. So I have not shown my kids Kindergarten Cop yet. And I actually chose Home Alone over.
It's
Kindergarten Cop.
PG-13. It is a PG-13
Is it?
movie. Yeah.
Well, that's probably why I didn't show them. So I chose Home Alone.
Yeah.
Eric.
I do have something to say about that later, Eric, by the way.
I'm also
About the
going
Good
to-
Son.
I'm going with
Yes,
Home
such a good
Alone.
movie.
I'm going with Home Alone. Make it easy.
All right.
I would have
What
went
you
with
chosen?
I would have gone with Kindergarten Cop, but honestly,
Is that because you do a spot on impression?
Kindergarten Cop is my favorite movie, which is true.
I remember him saying that in the movie.
It's Arnold Schwarzenegger's favorite movie.
Yeah,
I did hear that.
Yeah.
There's also other famous lines like "It's not a tumor," and "Who's your daddy and what does he do?"
Now you're just sounding like the guy from The Room.
Oh, Tommy
hi,
Wiseau. Oh, hi, Mark. I did not
Hi,
hear
Mark.
that. I did not. The ferret voice.
Andy, have you not seen The Room yet?
No.
That is our
man.
next movie night.
What
We
a
need to watch
travesty.
The Room followed by Hamilton.
Oh, I own
The
the room.
Room
I'll
is-
bring it.
All right. We're doing The Room at some point.
It's
It's
bad.
very uncomfortable. There are 3 really long porn scenes in the middle of it for absolutely no reason at all.
One of
Okay.
them's with a dress.
Yeah, it's very weird. Yes, you're right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
So there's 4
Um,
actually.
But anyways, The Room. What's the movie about The Room that just came out with
Disaster Artist.
the Disaster Artist? That was
Yeah.
hilarious too. Anyways, Kindergarten Cop, I think, is what we were talking about.
Yeah,
so.
Angela Bassett makes a cameo in Kindergarten Cop. Got a 51% on Rotten Tomatoes, basically stating that Arnold substitutes his action with some refreshingly adept comedic timing. But Kindergarten Cop's too grim for children and too cloying for adults.
What's that mean? Click them out.
No idea.
No idea either.
Anyone know what cloying means?
Yeah, let's Google it. So I didn't watch
I'm sure Eric does.
I watched Kindergarten Cop when I was younger, and then I hadn't seen it for a really long time until one of the stores I was working in had this in the back room all the time, and so I was constantly watching it. And there's a part at the end where Arnold gets shot, and I rewound it about 20 times in a row with tears running down my face because he's like, "Duh!" Just the way he did it. Like it was totally like unexpected. Oh, it was against the wall. Duh! That's what it was. I was crying. Me and this other kid were just like, rewind it, do it again.
That's not funny, Andy.
It's listen, that's
Not
the
supposed to
comedic
be.
timing of Arnold. And then in all of his movies, he always says, "I'll be back," and then he cleverly said in this movie, "I'm back." He's like, he like threw that out there, and he's like, "Yeah, got it."
All right. Well, hey, we are in the finals, guys. This is it. It is. This is such a bad final. Total Recall versus Home Alone. So, hey, guys, if you're ever going to time travel, 1990 is not the place you want to go. Total Recall, Home Alone, the top movies
Let's talk
of
about
1990.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
All I'm going to say is you can still watch Home Alone today. That's what I'm going to say.
Why can't you watch Total Recall today?
I mean, you can.
You can.
I mean, Andy did the other day.
I did.
But
I watched it the other day.
I mean, Total Recall is cool because it's one of the last movies ever to use miniaturized sets instead of CGI. And then they're one of the first movies to use CGI in such a way that it was like photo clarity in the X-ray scene. So just really cool, interesting things there. Sharon Stone's in it. Michael Ironside is in it. I had notes and then I legit lost them just now. But Michael Ironside talked about how he was on the phone a lot during the filming, and Arnold came over and was like, "Hey, bro, like you gotta stop that." And he's like, "Dude, I'm talking to my sister. I think she had some sort of cancer. Maybe I can't remember." And Arnold like sat with them and did like a 3-way call talking about how to diet right, how to do certain things. And I guess Michael Ironside still, talks about how nice Arnold Schwarzenegger was during the filming. So I thought that was a cool story.
Yeah. I had that in my list too to talk about.
Arnold was a huge part of this movie even getting made. So the original production company that was supposed to make this, and I left it out of my notes for some stupid reason. When the original production company went out of business, he had approached the De Laurentiis Entertainment Group was the original. So Carol Co. Pictures had recently done Red Heat. So he, Arnold was like, "Hey, you should buy this movie and buy the rights to produce this movie." And he got them to, which in turn gave him a lot of creative control over the movie itself. So the movie may have not even have gotten made if it went not for Arnold, which is pretty cool because it is a great movie. And he was actually one of the reasons why Paul Verhoeven was the director as well, because he liked RoboCop so much. So
Nice.
So
I had heard that they actually wanted to not make Total Recall due to how big of a budget that was going to be, and instead they made Alien first,
which is amazing as well.
I just saw that movie for the first time in the last 3 weeks.
It's so good. So
I-
It was okay.
watch
I
the
didn't-
first
I didn't
two.
really.
You guys are
Yeah, sorry.
mm,
Sorry, whatever year that came
Sorry.
out.
awful.
So Total Recall is fresh on my mind. So I literally watched it this week.
Let's talk
I said-
about it.
So it was on another list, right? Was it this not on our action?
It was on Action.
Yeah, I think it was
Right.
on our action. We did a top 90s action movies.
Yeah, and I remember I was like, I
Go
don't
and
know
check
these
it out.
movies. Yeah, so let me check it out. So here's my honest thoughts. Like I would ever say anything different. It kind of confused me for most of the movie.
It was supposed
Um,
to.
It was supposed to, right? So
You're
I'm kind of
supposed
like,
to, yeah.
I don't like movies like that. I just worked a long day using my brain. I don't want to have to think too much, but it kept me intrigued, right? So I'll give it that. It kept me intrigued throughout the movie, especially with like, there's a lot of violence in there, but they also like throw some humor in there too. Like I remember they just like killed this one dude and like somebody like steps on him as they're walking over and he's like, wow. Right, and then they got the faces that they make when they are exposed to the Mars atmosphere, and we'll all make our faces
Mhm.
after. But then I was like, who's this blonde girl? I was like, she looks super familiar because I didn't look up like who was in the movie, and I was like, who is this? And I was like, that's Sharon Stone. I was like, oh man, like I don't remember her hair being like that. Like I kind of like. When I think Sharon Stone, like in the 90s, I think of like Basic Instinct, and her hair was, most of it straight or tied back, whatever. So, so I think she did a really great job. I know because of this movie is how she got cast into Basic Instinct, because of her being able to show that she could change from that timid kind of sweetheart kind of girl into a diabolical person and back again. And so that got a cast. So as the movie went on, it started to make more sense. There was definitely, I think by the end of it, I was kind of like, let's go. Like let's wrap this up, right? Until the ending, when they're going up, it's almost like an elevator thing, right? And
Yeah.
him and Richter are fighting, who is Michael Ironside, and the thing like crushes him and his arms come off and he's just like, see you at the party, Richter, and throws his arms because Richter said before he was gonna see him at a party, right? And where they were gonna kill him. So I freaking lost it when I saw that. It's just like he's like holding these arms.
Arnie's a
at the party,
comedic
Richter.
genius.
He is.
Comedic genius.
I wish I would have took notes while I was watching it. I was thinking about it. I was like, nah, I just want to sit back. There were some funny freaking one-liners in there. There's a woman with 3 boobs. We gotta talk about that. And then
Do
what's
we?
the guy's? Yeah. Well, there's one guy.
what
who's-
more do you need to say?
there's one guy who's copping a field, and he's like, "Man, I wish I had 3 hands." It's like so dumb. So dumb. Yeah.
Oh god, I miss
So that's my thoughts
Yeah.
on Total Recall.
Home Alone.
Roger Ebert.
Home
you eat
Alone.
that.
Home Alone starts so many great people. Macaulay Culkin, who went on, like we just said earlier, to do The Good Son with Elijah Wood, which is a highly underrated movie. And it really showed how talented actually Macaulay Culkin could be, going from Home Alone to The Good Son. Surprisingly, to me, he didn't do a ton after these movies. He
No.
was in Saved. in the mid 2000s with Mandy Moore. And I can't think of much else that he's done. I know he had a lot of troubles for a while there, but
His brother
he did
Kieran
something.
is doing quite a lot, actually.
Yes. And
Very
Rory,
successful.
there's actually two brothers. One of the brothers played in Home Alone as the younger brother.
Kieran, yeah.
But anyways, Joe Pesci, obviously awesome. Daniel Stern, obviously awesome. John Hurd, Catherine O'Hara. Sorry, there's a fly going around. But
I thought you were waving at your neighbors.
I just watched, I think it was a Netflix or a Hulu documentary. It was Netflix, the movies that
Netflix.
changed us or something.
It's a great
where they talked about
documentary.
Home Alone. It is. It's very good. And they talked about the story where essentially they were set to be financed by Warner Brothers, and Hughes had promised he could make the movie for less than $10 million, but knowing that he was going to go much higher than that, met with Fox to see if they would fund it if Warner Brothers wouldn't. And so there was this huge kind of turnaround. Fox ended up picking it up. The budget grew to $18 million by the time they were all said and done. Obviously, it was a very successful movie, which was great.
Yeah.
Hughes had shot a lot of films right in the same place: Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, 16 Candles, Planes, Trains, Automobiles, Uncle Buck.
Uncle Buck. John.
Yeah. I love some of the stories I was hearing about how Pesci basically stayed away from Macaulay the whole time for two reasons. One, he wanted to show him that he was scary. And number two, he swore too much. I was told he couldn't swear around Macaulay Culkin. Surprisingly, one swear makes it into the movie, and it's not from Joe Pesci. It's from Stern when he gets his foot caught in the cat door.
Yep.
He actually says the S word. During that
And
point, but
it makes it into the movie. Yeah,
it does.
He says shoot.
Yes, and I've also seen
Snickers.
a bunch of other of the ones. They had Home Alone 2, which was great. Lost in New York, which has a cameo from everyone we know and love, Donald Trump. Home Alone 3 that was a joke, by the way. Home Alone 3 stars nobody, but
True.
I saw it. Home Alone 4 I sadly saw as well. And then there was also a Home Alone 5, which was a holiday Christmas movie. But none of the McAllisters are in any of those. Before I keep going, Mike, do you have any Home Alone stuff? I feel like this was one you might have had a lot.
Home Alone, extremely popular movie. It was such a huge hit at the box office that it actually became a verb. So a bunch of movies that came out around the same time, specifically William Goldman released a movie around the same time, says that his movie got Home Aloned, that it would have made $50 million, but it only made $40 million because they got Home Aloned. That's how big this movie was. And I don't remember what country it is. I want to say it's Finland, maybe. It has become a national pastime to watch this movie. Not in a way that it is here, where it just shows up on the Hallmark Network every Christmas, but it is actually part of their winter celebrations, where Home Alone is like part of the culture. It's kind of crazy.
That is
I do remember the Home Alone 2 board game. Yes.
I got that.
Home Alone also. I love how I learned a little bit about the shooting of the movie. Many of the shots of Kevin in the beginning of the movie are actually filmed from above, making him seem smaller and helpless. And at the end of the movie, Kevin is mostly shot from below, making him seem more taller and confident, which I thought was really cool. John Candy improvised all of his lines. So he legit came in, flew in, did all the scenes when he's in the van with Catherine O'Hara, and just basically does the whole thing from scratch.
He did it in one day.
Pesci, one day. Now it was a 23-hour day.
23-hour day. Yeah.
That's insane.
And then Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern didn't think the movie would ever make it anywhere, so they intentionally gave over-the-top performances, later learning that it made it.
That's awesome. I didn't know about that. I was gonna say I've said a lot about this movie probably when we did the Christmas movies, so I went a different route with this because all throughout this movie you have Kevin McAllister trying to ward off intruders coming from his house. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do my viewers some justice here. I don't know, justice is not the right word, but I'm gonna do a good thing here. So I said, hey, what's gonna happen? What would happen? What would you do if an intruder comes into your house? So I went to safety.com, and Officer Frisk gave you some tips on how to fight off intruders if they come into your house.
Was the first thing to tie a paint can to a rope from your ceiling?
It is not. It is not. No.
He doesn't know what he's talking about then, because
Listen, it goes Kevin McAllister first and then Officer Frisk second. So Frisk advises that adults should respond in a way that suggests that there's a full house. So just say like Joey Gladstone's here, DJ Tanner. So suggest there's a full house. So
a dog.
Hey, would someone check on the door? Or 1 second, let me get my husband, something like that, right? So you're not alone. Then, if you can, draw attention to your home. Set off either your home alarm or your car alarm. I thought the car alarm was pretty genius, right? Or flip on all your lights. This will deter criminals, as most aren't willing to be seen. Then, if you can do so without being seen, try and observe the stranger so you can get a description, perhaps through a second floor window or a security camera feed. And if you still can't identify the visitor, Frisk says call 911 and tell them about the stranger at your door. So there you go. Just remember that you dad meow hello may have saved a life, saved your home from being intruded upon. And if all else fails, put a nail down. Yeah.
On the other hand, full disclosure, we are not home security experts.
This was according to safety.com.
Yeah.
It's their fault if this doesn't work.
Correct. We are not responsible for any bodily harm caused by intruders to your home if you run directly at them.
Now, I have used these when RJ has come to my house.
Peeped on me?
Yeah, and I'm like, why is he here? And he's texting.
Mike, you mentioned, using the paint can on the string. There is a horror movie that came out in 2016 called Better Watch Out. Everybody needs to see it. It is the horror movie version of Home Alone. And essentially they do that. They take the paint can and they throw it over and they show it what would happen essentially if it really happened. Oh my word. It is one of the most brutal scenes I have ever seen in my life. That kind of backs it up with the documentary I saw as well, where they actually did all of the things that happened in the movie to see what kind of injuries you would get, not with real people. And they were like pointing out, like, here are the 15 injuries you would receive if you fell, off or the brick in his face in Home Alone 2 when he throws it from the roof and hits Daniel Stern in the face with a brick. He's like, yeah, he would have had brain damage and died immediately.
If you want to see what really would have happened, there's a YouTube channel called Corridor Crew where they do special effects and they critique special effects. They actually did what if Home Alone was rated R, and they edited all the
Better
scenes.
Watch Out, 2016.
No, it's much worse than that.
Have you seen that, Mike?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's great.
I'll check it out. Yeah.
You know what was also cool in Home Alone was the dynamic between Kevin and his older brother Buzz. Typical. Right. But like by the end of it, like he's kind of like, yeah, all right, you're pretty cool, kid, right? Like you survived the whole weekend and all this madness, right, in the house. Yeah, there's some interesting quotes. I was going to read this quote, and I'm not sure why I put it on here.
Okay.
So Kevin says, Buzz, I'm going through all your private stuff. You better come out and pound me. Buzz says, hey, Kev, it's pretty cool you didn't burn the place down. another totally different quote, but just like.
Well, hey, guys, we are here. Total Recall versus Home Alone. People at home listening in, what do you think? Total Recall or Home Alone? My vote goes for Home Alone. Mike?
As much as it pains me to do this, I am also choosing Home Alone. But I love Total Recall. Yeah. Yeah, now yeah, well that's the Home Alone face, but we have to do the Total Recall face. We never did our Total Recall faces.
Oh, no.
They're the yeah, that one.
That's why I sound
That was
like I'm gonna
good.
throw up.
It was good.
I'm also going with Home Alone. If you
My
can
Home
tell
Alone
by
face.
my comments.
My Home Alone face is the same as the game show face. Just the,
Yeah, I feel
same.
really lightheaded right now. That hurt.
yeah.
that was pretty intense. Yeah.
Thank you.
I love Total Recall. I'm sad to kick it out of the bracket because
Well, it came
it's
in
a great
number 2.
movie. It was number 2. Yeah, solid number 2.
Yeah.
Solid
Number
two.
2 movie of all of 1990. But guys,
That's
here we
right.
are. Home Alone is our winner of the top movies of 1990, which only goes to prove do not go to 1990. The movies are not that amazing.
I was like, when
Um,
I was like, let's do 1990, and we looked at the movies. We're like, oh. No.
We've
But-
already committed.
But there's some movies that we each had on our list that I think could have been, like, if we did a top 16 for sure, like Pretty Woman. Pretty Woman is always kind of talked about as
Mhm.
one of the better movies that year.
I have that on my watch list on the Peacock.
Yeah,
so
it's kind of like
going for that.
I'm okay with it. I understand the likability and the dislikability about it.
How did you guys
And-
not have Tremors?
How'd you not have Goodfellas? One of the best
I don't
movies
like
ever.
mob movies.
I know.
Yeah, we went over this. We
And I
don't
don't
like
like-
mob movies.
I don't like things that are gonna give me the heebie-jeebies.
I can't
And-
handle the
Tremors.
I can't
truth.
see-
What about Worms Underground will give you the heebie-jeebies?
Eric
You
Kevin
loves
said
Bacon
Tremors.
is in it.
Eric
Worms are
loves
gross.
Tremors.
You said Kevin
Eric
Bacon.
will talk about Tremors all day.
Kevin Bacon
Oh.
was in that thing where he had no face thing.
What?
Invisible
Oh, yeah.
Man?
Yeah, that's weird.
Movie
Dancing with
sucked.
Wolves. Dancing with Wolves was another
Dancing
one.
with Wolves. Yep.
I don't really remember that one.
Back to the Future 3.
No,
Of course.
that doesn't belong
What's
on
wrong?
any list.
That's a great movie.
That doesn't even deserve to be a Back to the Future movie.
Even that fly disagreed.
Arachnophobia. How do we not have Arachnophobia on
How
here?
do you even think that you
One of the
would
better
wanna-
horror movies of all time.
Okay, you, the person who you see a bug of any size.
This is the reason I am
Think so.
afraid of spiders is because of arachnophobia.
I thought
You
it was
gotta give
because of the
credit where
spiders
it's
that
due.
came out of your ceiling that time.
That was years later. Years later.
Tell
I
that
was
story.
in Warwick. I was in Warwick in 1996. This was 1990. That's what set me off. And then 1996, spiders invaded my real house near Rocky Point.
And then
I'll
RJ said,
tell it real quick. But
"Oh God,
I
I'm in the
lived
movie."
near Rocky Point. We moved to Rocky Point for 7 or 8 months, and then we legit bombed the house 3 times trying to kill the spiders, and they never left, so we did. I'm talking like we were in the house, and you would look up, and the ceiling would be moving with millions of little spiders. And then, like, one day I'm sitting in my brother's room, and he's got the light bulb, but with no cover, and the light bulb just starts going like this, and they come pouring out like that. And then another time I'm in the shower and you do that whole thing where you like look at the wall and boom, it's like right there. And then I remember another time I'm downstairs and I'm trying to open the window and they come down the window like that. And I was like, I'm getting stuck in here. So I left and I hated it. Hated every minute of it. It was terrible. But Arachnophobia is a great movie.
You lived the movie. That doesn't sound
Men
good
at
all.
Work. Men at Work. Child's Play 2. Like, what are we doing here?
Mm.
Men at Work, like Safety Dance.
No, Men at Work was Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen.
Oh,
That
I
was
They
definitely
play
don't.
trash men
all
who
right.
find a body, I think.
I won't watch that.
Can't remember. It's a great movie. What's wrong with Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen?
I think it's
I mean, there's a
maybe the
lot wrong with
combination.
Charlie Sheen, but
I mean, they're
Well.
related.
that's true.
Oh, we forgot The Hunt for the Red October. That's a good movie. All
I
right,
never,
redo
I
the
never saw
bracket.
that.
Redo the bracket.
All right. Anyways, hey, thank you guys for hanging out with us. We are going to return next Tuesday. Tuesday, right, guys? Next Tuesday, not Thursday. Tuesday, special time, same place. So join us in just 5
Couple
days, or
days.
something like that,
Enjoy
as
the
we do
holiday
the
weekend.
top movies of 1992. No,
One.
1991.
Yes.
So join us as we continue into the 90s. We will then take a break. and we will jump off of the movies and onto something else for a little bit. But this week was 1990 movies. Next week is 1991 movies, which I have to say so far has better options for me.
Yeah, I agree. Ninja Turtles 2.
I concur.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks for joining. Our song Plans Fade tomorrow on Spotify, anywhere else you can get your music. And also we release a new episode of the podcast tomorrow as well, which I forgot what it was, but it is coming out. So thank you guys for joining us.